Jack's Tech Talks.
Passionate about technology.
YouTuber, geek, tech head, internet personality.
Here you will find a variety of podcasts talking about the coolest products on the planet.
From the newest smartphone to surprising gadgets and technology you never knew existed. It's all here on Jack's Tech Talks.
Good evening, everybody, and welcome back to another live streaming session number 2. So we're going to be talking about Wi-Fi and smart home devices today, and obviously catch up those questions you guys have been sending me over the last few months, because obviously anything I do Wi-Fi online, it's gone incredibly well, and views have gone really high. And it's quite strange. It's like I started doing some TP-Link stuff, so very much I don't get people sending me stuff say, would you review it? You know, I tend to just have to go and purchase myself. So I kind of like built around, well, when I use the product, want it, review it, but use it a lot more before I reviewing it. So I get a bit more background and stuff like that, and find out if it's a product I want to work with, or is a product that works well, you know. And everyone talks about money and stuff like that. You know, I don't have a lot of money to spend on Wi-Fi, cheap as possible. So very much went for TP-Link, because it's very much, they're big brands, you know, that I've worked with them in the past, but obviously they're quite cheap as well, good money for the pocket, and they've been pretty well. So I started out on a few of those, and then my views got really, really high and gone really high up in the air, and it's been like, wow, lots of views. Then I have Linksys years later come on board and said, look, why don't you review some of our products? I said, well, I'm going to do it. I want to do it properly. So why didn't you send me some gear out? And I don't want to send something like a router, because sometimes people in the past has just sent me like a single thing. You think, is that it? You know, kind of, you know. But no, they really got behind it. I had quite a few chats with themselves. The head office up in, I think it's up in the States, quite many times, and they wanted to send me loads of stuff. So I said, if you're going to do it, let's do the whole of the house. Because at that time I was actually living with my ex, and because I was homeless. And I had a shed in the bottom of the garden, which is my sort of escape route, so I wasn't under her toes all the time. And I put all my servers in there, and it became my little workshop. And I put Wi-Fi there, and the kids were moaning about internet's being slow and sluggish, because basically there's like 6 of them in the house, all surfing. You know, you got phones, you got TV devices, and it was getting pretty sort of constantly, Dad, it's lagging, Dad, it's slow, it's this, it's that. Even though she had a reasonably decent internet connection in there as well, I even got her to pay for the next package up for a bit more speed, you know, and make sure it was an unlimited package as well, so she ain't got any unexpected bills coming through at the end of each month where they've gone over the, you know, your usage, you know. So that's all sorted out, but still coming out laggy, and it was just terrible, because they're streaming all different parts of the house, and you've got the router that sits downstairs all on its own. A single router on its own in a big house is useless. And don't forget, when you get broadband, they stick a free piece of kit in there. You get the router for nothing. So you're paying, you pay for what you get at the end of the day. So try and get out to struggle around the house, because obviously when you go through walls, you don't know what's in the walls, what the walls have been lined with. It all makes a difference. You've got a microwave on in the kitchen, it's going to break a signal up. If you've got a cordless phone around the house, that will interfere with it. You know, there's lots of different things that will interfere. You don't really realize. You don't know what's in your floorboards either. So your signal is going to go up. You don't know what's in the floorboards. If it's piping and electricity cable, that can interfere with the signal. So it can cause chaos. A lot of friends and stuff have always obviously made me in the past and said, got bad Wi-Fi. I asked them what they got in the house, and they basically just got a router from their broadband. That is it. And they want it to go everywhere. Back garden, front garden, upstairs, downstairs, you name it. They want it to go everywhere. Yeah, ain't going to work. So I decided to install, and I went with TP-Link to start with, because very much I had that first. So I installed one in the front room, one upstairs in the hallway, so that covers all the bedrooms. Then we had one in the shed that covered my little bit of space. That worked fine. And obviously with that sort of setup, it covered the back garden as well, because obviously when you got in the back garden, you got halfway down to the back of the garden, you would lose signal. But with my shed being there with another box there, that's fine. So that kind of worked fine. It was working pretty well, and that was TP-Link's products. So I've done some lots of reviews on that, and got some really high video reviews from you guys watching and stuff like that, and some questions off the back of that. But when Linksys come on board, I said you need to replace all the hubs in the house, the switches, because obviously you use a dedicated switch in the shed, and there's one in the front room as well. It's under the stairs basically, where all the connections come in. It's basically where I wired the house is everything goes out from under the stair, because under the stairs there's a little cupboard in the front room, and everything comes in there basically. I moved the telephone cable to terminate in there as well, so it's all out the way. Before it's just on the side, being kicked around, moved around, and so forth. So I rewired all the way around, so it's all in one place, and it's nice. That's a central point. So one summer I cabled through the wall going upstairs, so I make sure every PC in the house. Now listen to this. I get a lot of questions on this. I wired every PC in the house that I could plug a cable into, an Ethernet cable into the back of, had its own Y cabled all the way down to the switch in the downstairs bit. Then the router will come off of that. So it's hardwired. Now laptops, again, I put 2 ports in per bedroom. So they got a laptop and a PC hardwired. And then if they're using their mobile phones, obviously it's off the Wi-Fi side. Then I put a cable in for the Wi-Fi box upstairs. So it had a hard wire all the way down into the router. Best way going forward. You can't beat wiring. But obviously, if you want to spread Wi-Fi around the house, because also you can't plug every single device, like a mobile phone or a tablet, in as a cable, you need Wi-Fi. So the upstairs Wi-Fi box had a cable plugged directly into it. Come downstairs, terminated in a switch. The downstairs one, again, had a cable coming off of it, terminated in the switch. Also run PoE down there, so I don't have to run a power cable to each of the boxes. So I had a PoE switch there as well. And the one in the shed was over PoE. Again, there's a cable running from the shed, buried in the garden, all the way up to the house and into the switch. So everything was hardwired. Wi-Fi was stable. It was great. Nobody complained about lagness or internet slow. Things streaming was fine. There was no little timer that was trying to catch up. It worked well. Absolutely brilliant. So basically, that's what I've got Linksys to replace everything that made that happen. I didn't think they'd go for it because it was a lot of equipment, about $2,000 worth of equipment. Didn't think they'd go with it. But guess what? I got in after a lot of conversations and chatting, how many videos am I going to get out of this? The setup process and what stuff I had to do. Again, it's all on my channel now. I did it, and they sent it, and then I got back one day, and there's a big box, huge box. I got one lot of equipment in that, and then another box come and some other equipment in there as well. So they sent me quite a lot, actually, more than that I needed. So as I moved back to my flat, moved into my flat, got my own flat then, I got one box sitting here as well. And I also had one box sitting at a very old client of mine that wanted Wi-Fi. And again, they're in a building in Guildford. It's a very old building, but they do have a downstairs. It is a, what do you call it downstairs? I can't think what you call it now. Sub-basement. And that's where their take-home's connected into. And they had their router sat there, Wi-Fi off that. By the time it cut through the floor, so the first floor was okay-ish. When it up to the second floor where the boss sat, it was crap. Again, it's using free routers you get from your ISP. You can't avoid that. I'm going to tell you some more details about the routers very soon anyway, what you can do to get around making it better, anyway. So I kind of put a Linksys wall-mounted Wi-Fi spot there. Again, wired it cable-wise through the floor, down into the basement, into their switch. And then since then, not had any issues. And I can remote access everything from here, which is great. I can see my kids' house, all the Wi-Fi there, my own Wi-Fi here, and the office Wi-Fi as well. And I've just done an update on the software here. So I haven't done the office one yet, because I'm going to do that live. Not live. I'm going to create a video next week to show you how to upgrade them. That's how easy things are. It went smooth as anything. It's so easy to upgrade the firmware. But Linksys has gone through a huge change on the cloud management software. We'll get more into that. I'll tell you more about what the product is and what we use and stuff. But it was a huge change. So I had to go from one portal to a new portal, and I did everything remotely. I didn't have to go anywhere. I didn't have to power things down. Everything I did sitting here, doing it, it worked brilliantly. Firmwared each box because it had to be firmwared up. Installed it into the new cloud management software. Imported in perfectly. Job done. Didn't he need to reboot the Wi-Fi boxes back then, because when the firmware hit it anyway, it rebooted anyway. But I sometimes when you do things like this, you kind of have to babysit it and go to the device itself and wring its neck and reboot start. You just like been nightmare, but that was smooth. That's the smoothest. I mean, in 20, well, nearly 30 years in IT, that's the smoothest it's ever been. You know, I've lots of issues in the past with things and it just don't always go right. No matter how much planning you put in place, don't go right. But that they said it, got it, installed it, and they're still running off the Linksys stuff right now. It's stable as anything. It's works. It's fast, and I've not had any problems whatsoever. My flat's streaming perfectly. I've got lots of devices now running off Wi-Fi here. I've got my Amazon Alexas. I've got TV. I've got my PC sat this side. I've got my mobile phones. My kid. One of my daughters are in the bedroom today, staying over tonight. She's Wi-Fi'd in there as well, and brilliant. Don't get any issues whatsoever. It's really bloody rock solid. When I go out and do podcasting and I do live streams, I take my Wi-Fi box here because I haven't got a spare one, plug it in down there because everything's on the same network and it works fine. And it's great because I'm going to talk a bit more about the Wi-Fi keys, the SSIDs, because people get confused with that as well. I've got lots of questions that come up on that, so we'll talk in after we take a break very shortly. I'm gonna do 2 breaks today. So you've got some music to play, some fantastic singer-songwriters. We're got some more interviews going out this week as well on can't even say it now. buzzpodcast.co.uk. Go and visit that site right now, or at least put it in the tab somewhere to have a look later. We got all the things, awesome people. So we're playing music on here as well. We're trying to hopefully I'm going to get this. If you guys like this live streaming once a week, then I might get some videos to put in as well, mix it up a bit. So it's not just me on camera going, hey, look at me, watch this, you know. So we've got a comment coming. So, here we go. I got some BT power plugs, even one in my garage from the CNC and laser engraving. So far, so good. Yeah, we're going to talk about the power line plugs as well very shortly. We'll talk about them as well. So that's some, is it Jigsby Workshop? Yeah, great. Yeah, I'll do, let me get back to my bits. Yeah, we'll do talk a bit more on that. So there's so many questions come up on my Facebook all the time, and people will like send me comments. And even when the video's been out for quite a while, people still comment against it, which is great. I need to catch up and go through questions and things like that as well with them. But as we've been talking for a bit, let's go for a break. So this is, well, I'm going to actually play this. Make sure I've got my volume up this time. So I'm still working things out, trying to get everything around me. So it's just in lines of my fingers to get things going. Hopefully the show will get better and better. I'm hoping to get some guests on as well. Might have to do some remote guests to start with anyway. But there is a lady I'm going to be interviewing soon, hopefully on a podcast, and I might get on a live stream. She's actually a software engineer, and she'd be quite an interesting one to do. So I'm trying to get her on. So as soon as that happens, we'll make it happen, basically. So yeah, so this is her name's Emma Kelly, and this is her song Drunk.
Hold up my hands, I'm guilty. Yeah, I'm under the influence of you. You pull me down, I'm so deep, and I don't know what's real or what's the truth. But ooh, we're all the same. Got our heads down and we're all getting lost in the game. And ooh, we're running away. We're addicted and we don't even know who to blame. I could be screaming at the top of my lungs. No one would ever look up, 'cause we're all a little drunk. It's like we're breathing in a dangerous drug, and it's making us numb. And we're all a little drunk on a different kind of love. Just a little bit drunk, just a little bit drunk, just a little bit. Give you my time so freely, and you don't give me nothing in return. But I come back, repeating all of those mistakes I never learned. just a little bit. I just wanna breathe. I just wanna see. 'Cause I know there's more to life than on my screen. Sometimes I feel that this ain't real, and I wanna know the life I used to be in. I could be screaming at the top of my lungs. No one would ever look up, 'cause we're all a little drunk. It's like we're breathing in a dangerous drop, and it's making us numb. And we're all a little drunk on a different color. Just a little bit drunk, just a little bit drunk, just a little bit, just a little bit drunk, just a little bit drunk, just a little bit.
There you go, Emma Kenny. That's Drunk. That's out on Spotify. So do check her out on Spotify. Just do a search for Emma Kenny and you'll find her details on Spotify, Apple and Google too. So nice and easy there. Right. So, yeah, Wi-Fi. I'm going to talk, just going to run over a couple of things. Wi-Fi 6 has been advertised now. Linksys is now actually sharing a new Wi-Fi 6 mesh routers that are compatible as well. So there's quite a lot of things Wi-Fi 6 can do. It's basically, let's run some features actually, Wi-Fi 6. So it's Wi-Fi amplified. So it's all Wi-Fi 6, a bit more bandwidth. So you get 4 times the speed, 50 plus more devices, 4 times more capability, 4 times faster, 4 times more. Well, it's just 4 times everything going. The sales pitch for it. So what's up? Even the biggest Wi-Fi hoggers, as they call it, with up to 4 times more capabilities, no matter how many devices everyone in your room use or in your house use to stream games, stay connected. Wi-Fi 6 can handle it. Increased range by 50%. See, I think I'm not sure on this one actually. This is going to have to be something I'm going to buy and test, because I thought Wi-Fi was broadcasting shorter but wider bands to make it faster, basically. So it's not good for long distance. Now, Wi-Fi 5.4, 2.4 gigahertz is normally better over a longer distance. So it's very much a mix views of this as well, because I remember somebody reviewing the 6 when it first came out and saying it was really crap for long distance, but very close short distances it was like really awesome, really fast. So mixed feelings on that anyway. But I'm just going to go cover actually a few things. Well, I can show you a few devices actually. So this is the TP-Link mesh. You can see that properly. Very simple device. This is designed to sit on your desk or I don't know, a sideboard at home to make it look part of the features. You can probably actually maybe use a bookend or something like that. And this you can buy in packs of 3, and you can add 4 or 5 to them. And basically the idea of Wi-Fi mesh is to spread it around the house, so less cabling to use. So it takes signal, and I think it amplifies the signal, creates like a mesh environment for you, and saves plumbing and running cables everywhere. That's only great, especially like Wi-Fi extenders, for instance, where it takes this signal, grabs it, and then amplifies it a bit further. So if your signal sort of slowly sort of pivots out when it gets to your bedroom, then you can put a Wi-Fi and a Wi-Fi box there, grab that signal, and then amplify it again, basically. But it's only good. So, but if that signal, weak signal, 10 times a drop, you lose everything. So, like I always say, it's best to run a cable to it. So you can be running Wi-Fi hotspots around the house or around the offices or wherever you are. Run a freaking cable to it, plug it in. Then you're going to make sure you're covering a decent Wi-Fi in that area. Hard cable to it. But if you're going to try to take a weak signal and amplify it, that signal just gets weak for some reason. Everything just drops and it comes apart, and it's a complete mess. And the repeaters are not cheap either, so they don't work. You kind of like, why did I go that route? You know, should have went with the route where I plug a cable into it. My best practice, my years of experience, put a cable to it. Doesn't have to drill a hole in the wall and run some cable outside the building. Just bloody do it. And that way, you know, your Wi-Fi will be strong in that area, and it's going to make sure it stays coverage. And that way you don't have to ever go back and go, that was crap. Its signal's dropping. What's happening as well? And I think a lot of people also forget about Wi-Fi. Now, I live in a flat, so I have nobody above me. I have 2 people below me, and then behind me, I have actually behind me here, I'm the last on the block anyway, but I still have houses there, and obviously behind you guys watching me that way, there's a whole row of flats, and then over that side of me, I've got flats, and that over that side of me, there's houses. Now, if I take my phone and again, Wi-Fi is 300 meters range. And if it's not going through walls, if it goes through walls, it sort of can tend to sort of like lose its signal weakness anyway. But you could probably just do this right now, actually. So if you're at home, you've got housing estate around you, get your phone up. I'm using the iPhone. So on the iPhone, go to your settings and then go to your Wi-Fi tab to search for a Wi-Fi signal. What I'm doing here. And now if I browse and have a look, so if I turn my signal off, I've turned it off, turn it back on again, and it'll go through here looking for networks. And look how many networks I've got here close by me, quite a few, fair few. And if I move up and down, sometimes there's more. There's others. So it's gone off the screen, it's got others there as well. So they're the ones the Wi-Fi's are actually, because it's all running on the same channels they are, because obviously when you buy a router from BT, it's always set on the default channel. I can't remember what channel number it is, but it's always the same. Now, if they're being just installed all around you, not run on different channels, then their signals will overlap your signals, and it can cause issues, slowness, dropouts, things like that, because it's interfering with your signal. And that kind of, I mean, any Wi-Fi is going to be interference. Let's say call it interference. So there's a lot of interference there I've got going here. But lucky enough, my routers here, my Wi-Fi boxes are here, pretty good and gets through. I don't have any issues. But if you do experience issues, you can go on your router or your Wi-Fi box, and you can change the channel, take it off the channel. So if you can roughly know what your neighbor's channels are, you can kind of sort of change your channels that's different to theirs. Then it hasn't got so much overlapping, and you'll find your signal may sort of like work itself out and work fine. So that's one stage of diagnosing if you've got Wi-Fi signal dropouts and stuff. Try that. Don't use your router that you get from BT or TalkTalk or whatever service provider it is as that's your Wi-Fi. It's just a very small, cheap hub. You can buy a broadband router from Amazon or anything like that, and spend a bit more money on it for better box. The more money you spend, the better it gets, and for quality, then you can amplify those aerials. And 9 times out, the boxes are very tiny anyway, and it has a small aerial in it, so hence pay for what you get. Get it for free, be free from your service provider. It's going to be crap. It's going to be a cheap router because they're not going to send out to you expensive routers and things like that. So a couple of things. Let me run through a couple of things. Is check the channel, move it to another channel to see if it, there's a whole range of channels you can change and move to. I think there's apps out there that allows you to look at what channel is roughly broadcasting. Excuse me. Roughly that's broadcasting. And then if you know what that is, you can then avoid those channels. Then you know it's quite fine. Now, if you run off your own router, then it's obviously you now need to start buying maybe a decent setup. So if you live in a house or a flat's pretty easy. What I've done here, I've got one box that's on my wall in my hallway. I don't have upstairs or downstairs because my flat's on the same level. Okay, so it sits in the hallway and it covers all the rooms. And in theory, my front room and my bedroom is basically in front of the routers.
Did you want me to do something in my home?
Siri. Why Siri? On go away, Siri. Right, drop him out. That's what happens when you got voice activated things. The weird thing. Anyway, so everything's like kind of in front of it. So everything's broadcasted that way. So it's quite a good signal. So this is what I do. I'm going to actually share my screen and I'll show you what I did. Excuse me. Give me a second. I'll quickly share my screen. Still getting used to this stupid software. There we go. Change my tab over for you. That's the one. And share my screen. So here we go. So I'm going to take off full screen here. So this is my BT box. It's the BT Business Smart Hub. So I've gone business. The reason why I chose a business smart hub instead of a home standard broadband is because I'm connected to a telephone exchange. So if I went on the home one, my contention ratio will be a lot higher. So I'll be sharing my connection with 50 other household users. Because I'm on BT Smart Hub, which is the business version of BT, I share it with 20 others or 20 other businesses. I've been on lockdown. I get all the bandwidth, and it's been great. It's brilliant. So, because most of the businesses are closed, so not having to share with many. When they are on, I tend to get a really good speed anyway. Now I've got Wi-Fi hotspot in, as I said, in my hallway. I've actually turned the wireless off on my router. Don't need it on. Why do I need that? And rather than set up a new SSID signal, I've copied the one on the Wi-Fi box that was originally on the BT one, because BT sends you these little. I'll show you in a second. BT sends you these little tab things with Wi-Fi codes and keys. They're quite handy, especially you got them stuck everywhere. So I've literally made sure I turned the Wi-Fi off on the BT box, and also notice my BT box has a 4G backup, which is really cool. So if I end up unplugging my phone line for some reason, or the phone goes down, the 4G dongle kicks in. Because my flat is literally in a line of sight of the shops, there's a big mobile phone tariff been put there recently. And the 4G connection, you can see it's quite a good strong signal. It's faster than my broadband speed. So kind of, if it goes down, I ain't going to know, because it'll go on to that automatically and then swap back. And it's quite good. It does change over quite quickly and go back quite quickly. And because I have a fixed IP address on my network, I can it manipulates that on the 4G. So anybody remote dialing in to me, which I do have, don't know any difference either. So perfect. So what I kind of done is I replicated the SSID and the password that was originally set on the BT box and put it into my new Wi-Fi box. So that way, any device that's already been connected stays connected. I don't have to go and reset them, which is a good thing. Now, that's the thing that people were forgetting to do. I had got a lot of questions come up saying, if I'm installing another Wi-Fi box, how do I get to connect and all this sort of stuff? Well, if you hardwire these boxes with a cable, turn off the one on the router, and then set the same details up on here, straightforward. Or sometimes if you're not buying multiple boxes, because you can save some money by leaving your router switched on and don't turn it off, buy a second box, cable it to, let's say, if you're going to put upstairs, then configure the SSID on the new Wi-Fi box the same as your router's Wi-Fi, exactly the same SSID, same password, and make sure if the characters are uppercase and lowercase, it's exactly the same as it is. Save it. Then your phone or your devices should swap backs and forwards as you move around the house. So that way your router becomes one hotspot. Your new one upstairs comes as a second hotspot, and it helps then to make your Wi-Fi better. But if you're like me, that can afford to put like 3 or 4 around the house, one in each room to make sure it's perfect, then you can kind of turn the router one off and then just have those ones on there. Because with the Linksys ones, it comes with, it's actually, I'm going to see if I can log into it from here and I can show you it as well. So bear with me 2 seconds. I have got a shortcut for it. Find a shortcut. Where was that? Yeah, I think this is one. Let me log into it. So I can show the links to set up actually. So yeah, so we go. I can show this. So let me stop my share my screen, reshare it again. Just choose the app for it. So let me bring out a full screen so you can see it properly. Here we go. Oh, that's what I want to do. Add into the stream, go full screen. So here you go. So this is the Linksys login screen. So this is what you get. So I've got 3 devices over at Lisa's house. And it's got 10 connections already on there, and it's using about 5 megabits per second on the current traffic going across it. Now, the old Dean is me. Got one device here. There's 13 client connections. So that's all my Amazon Alexas and my TV. That's my mobile phone. That's my daughter's Wi-Fi's on it and stuff. So that's why there's a lot of connections on that one. And I'm currently using 2.3 megabits per second because obviously it's streaming happening in the bedroom. And obviously I'm streaming as well. Now let's go on this one because that one seems to have a lot of traffic. We can click on there, and it kind of gives you all different graphs of real-time access that's happening. Shows all the MAC addresses, so you can change them to people's names. So as soon as you identify the MAC address, which device it belongs to, you can actually then name it. So then for you, it's easier on the eye to know who that is. Otherwise, look at the MAC address, you'll think, don't know what that is. And you can see on here, hallway, sitting room, garden shed. That's where I used to be. Now my son has that. So that's where he sits. And you kind of see the actual usage on each of the Wi-Fi hotspots there, how much you've been using. And you can kind of see the 2.4 gig channels and the 5 gig channels as well, which one's been used. So a lot of modern phones and modern tablets and modern TVs now able to connect with 5G. They're all just automatically connect with 5G. The Wi-Fi box works that out. If a device is compatible running with 5G, it will switch it to 5G. Otherwise, it defaults to 2.4. So it's quite nice. And it tells you like roughly on the map where that is. So if you're running lots of these, and this is designed to, the way Linksys has done this, they designed the portal as a way of selling it as a service. So you can create an IT company yourself, and you can go to all the cafes in London or all the cafes around where you live and say, I can give you a Wi-Fi Wi-Fi box. I can manage it for you, look after it for you, pay a small rental fee. Then you use your management software to manage it. So that way here you can control everything, stats, statistics. If it goes offline, you'll know about it. And what I like about this as well is, let's say, for instance, the box goes offline. It's faulty, it's knackered. You can buy another one in. You can send it to the customer. You write the serial number down and you write down the MAC address of it before you send it. All he has to do is get his little DIY guide to put up on the wall and then plug it in. Let me just quickly change this so you can see me. So yeah, so you can plug it in. And then, because you will change on the management software here. So let's say, for instance, the router's in London and I'm in Camberley, so it's quite a mile away. He's plugged it in, phones me up. Jack, I've just plugged in the new router, new Wi-Fi box you've sent over to me. It's ready when you are. Why it's been sent to him in the post, or I've sent it to a taxi and he delivered it, or he's come and collected it from me, for instance, I will go into the management software. I will update the serial number and add it in ready. And by the time he gets it and receives it, plugs it in, phones me up and says, right, it's ready, it's powering up. As soon as it powers up, it automatically will configure itself and it will put all the SSID and the key passwords back on that router, that Wi-Fi box itself. So that way, it's ready to go. It's simple as that. It's so quick. And again, adding a second one on the network. And let's say, for instance, he says, Jack, I need a second one. We just expanded our restaurants and we need another one to go on the upstairs one. Can you do that for us? Yeah, I'll send you one over. Have you got a guy there that will fix it on the wall? Yeah, I have. No problems. I'll send it over to you very shortly. Now I'll take another one. I set it up in the management software, ready for it. By the time he's received it and his little guys installed it on the wall, it's configured up and ready to go. It's simple as that. So that way you don't have to send engineers out. You just send it out and get a client to do it. Job done. And you can rent it as a service. And you can say, I'll manage it, I'll look after it, I'll firmware upgrade it and stuff. If it needs resetting or rechanging or rebooting, do all that for you. So that way the customer doesn't have to worry about it. The customer just get on with his job on his life and just work, and restaurant's happy. Getting dry cough here. So under devices here, you can see the devices themselves, current traffic, clients connected. And if we go into the hallway one, for instance, here, we can see a bit more details as well. Speeds, who's connected. And this is like the Wi-Fi, because you can have more than one Wi-Fi SSID on there. So if you could have multiple ones if you wanted to. And they will be treated as separate SSIDs. And it kind of, I don't know why you would have many on there, but if you're a bigger building, you could have different Wi-Fi SSIDs for different departments. And if you go into the SSI, which we'll do in a minute, you can actually restrict who can have what on speed if you wanted to. So your current bandwidths and speeds, and these obviously the clients connected and what they do. You can click on them and that will take one step further on details, get the IP address, it's been assigned internally, usage and package per device as well, you can have a look at as well. And then you can go a bit more details in here as well. First time connected, seen, last, so forth. Oh, excuse me there. Wi-Fi SSIDs here. Again, you have more than one assigned to a hub. Now, if you've got, let's say you got 16 on a site, hotel, for instance, you only need to put a couple of them in there. So if you've got like, normally 9 times out of 10, the hotel will have an admin, a guest, and something else maybe, and you can plug it on there. The guest one will be restricted to run for an hour, and then keep the person off. And it normally has a web interface comes up for them to register who they are. You can do that. The admin one will be full access, so there'll be no restrictions. And you can have one for staff that will have restrictions, because obviously the guest ones you wanted to have as much bandwidth as possible if you wanted to. The guest you can restrict by bandwidth as well, and you can do the same with the staff, and then allow admin have full speed of your internet if you wanted to. So quite straightforward. Adding a new Wi-Fi SSID is very simple. Name, put in your own passwords, and you've got these two options here as well you can use, and click save, and then literally seconds later all the hubs in that building will have that new SSID applied. And the same for when you install a new hub for the very first time, long as you add it in here. So it's quite straightforward. You go to device, add new access point. All it asks for you for is your serial number and a MAC address for that. Once you've got that into there, you can save it. Even though it's not online, you can save it in here, and it'll be set there looking as a new device. Go back to that one. Like that, saying offline. Then as soon as the customer receives it, plugs it in, because that's all we'll do is a PoE, plugs it in, powers it up, comes online, and within like 30 or 40 seconds, it's already had all the settings preloaded to it. And you can then remote do the firmware upgrade as well from here if you wanted to as well. There are lots of different options on there. Monitoring it back straight, another shortcut around. So a lot of things have changed since the old version, which is really nice. Clients, so you can see all your clients as a whole list. Didn't used to be able to see that before. So now you can currently see which devices are connected, which ones are using different. So here's a couple of people connecting the different SSIDs and stuff, and you can kind of see where they're connected as well. It's quite cool. And obviously the signal strength of each device as well. So it kind of tell if they're too far away, quite close to them. So it's an awesome what you can do with this. And this is in Camden. This is like 4 miles away from me. If I go back to the flat here, which is I'm in it, you can kind of look at my devices here. Just only one, Jack's hallway. I've only got one here. And again, what I've done here, because my kids at their house, I've actually duplicated their SSIDs. So they're duplicated here. You can have quite a few slots actually. There's quite a few slots you can have on there. So I've duplicated their SSID here, and I've also duplicated their passwords here. So that way, when they come to my house, they don't have to say, Dad, what's your Wi-Fi password? Can I put it in? It doesn't record it as another option. Because the other thing is when you connect to Wi-Fi, it generates a list of your ones all you connected. So it's kind of nice that it just has one that fits both. So as long as the passwords match both ends and SSID names exactly same both ends, your device knows that no difference. It just sees it, connects to it, job done. And that way there's no worry. And if I upgrade stuff this end, make changes, as long as the password and SSIDs are identical, their device won't know any different. It works really well. What have I got here? I mean, I haven't got a lot really, because mine's boys, only one. The Guildford one hasn't been imported into this new management software yet, but I'm going to show you how to do that as well on a new video. So, Scotty, have you not had a overgear yet? It has changed my life, so easy and not too expensive. Send me a link to what you're talking about, Scotty. Thank you. Yeah, send me a link. Go back to that, change it back. Yeah, so that's the overview of that. So basically, hardwire your cable to each Wi-Fi hotspot, and that way you eliminate a lot of issues. If you're trying to connect one with another using a boosted thing, don't bother. They don't work. Power line ones are really good. I've had lots of good experience with those. They work really, really well. Let me just move that off there. Yeah, power line Ethernet works really well. There's lots of new ones now which better speeds. Make sure you're on the same ring main. Otherwise, it don't work. If you've got two different ring mains, you'll find the boxes won't stretch over the ring mains. Normally, it likes the same ring main. And I think a lot of the new ones now will work in extension cables. Before, the old ones didn't like being in extension cables. Normally had to be in the master socket itself to work better. So if you've got one of the older devices, make sure it's plugged into the main socket on the wall, not an extension off the wall. It don't work that way. That's another common question I had come up before on here as well. Right. So I'm just trying to get back to where I was. Yeah. So, and make sure your SSID. So if you've got 3 hotspots in the house, turn the one off on your router. Don't need to be on there, because then that stop Wi-Fi signals colliding with each other, causing Wi-Fi issues, Wi-Fi problems as well. And obviously check your neighbors out as well. What's around you. And there's an app you can download. I can't remember what it's called now. If I remember it, I'll put it in the description on the video for you below, where you can actually search and see what's around you, and it'll kind of give you an analyze of what's there as well. And you can kind of use that as a diagnostic tool to work out any Wi-Fi issues you got. But again, always hardwire a PC in the house, and that way it eliminates everything. Anything on Wi-Fi, if you've got a slightly bigger house, try and get a Wi-Fi box in. I wouldn't say every single room, because you need, like for instance, the house, there's 4 bedrooms, 1 downstairs, 3 upstairs. And I kind of put 1 in the hallway upstairs, which covers the whole upstairs. That was enough for that. So you don't want to overkill it. And 1 downstairs, which covers the front room, the kitchen, the other bedroom, the bathroom, and it kind of goes to halfway down the actual garden as well. Excuse me. And the one in the shed comes up the rest of the way of the garden. So it basically gives you full coverage in the garden, and you kind of get a good coverage outside as well. So that was a great way. So that house, a 4-bedroom house, reasonably large, 3 is enough. My flat, 1-bedroom flat, kitchen, front room, 1's perfect for that as well. I didn't want to use one on the router because the router ones is not brilliant. Again, we'll talk very shortly after another break about how you can improve, why choose a new router instead of the one that came with your broadband package. So we'll. Why has that turned itself off now? Okay, so this is I will get this back anyway. This is Louise Kate, and this song is called Afterlife. I hope you enjoy this one. I'll get 1 sentence ready for it. So Louise Kate, Afterlife. Enjoy this. Enjoy this.
It's a funny feeling, isn't it? Missing someone you never knew. Placing down flowers in my chain, fearing the day they might be true. So before it's time to step into the afterlife, I watch you paint the past from the memories you have had until you forget me. It's been so long decide whether or not we should be on the same side. But I mistook the time and I can go back and change my own mind. And so before it's time to step into the afterlife, I watch you paint the past from the memories you have left until you forget me. Oh, until you forget me. So before it's time to step into the afterlife, I watch you paint the past, lose the memories you have left, and watch you forget me.
Amazing singer-songwriter there. So check her out, Lewis Kate, on Spotify. You'll find all new music up there. I think she's got a new album out as well. So do check her out. So back to Wi-Fi. So I've been toying with these new ones. I've done a video. I've got to do a second video for it, and it's these little boxes. These are outdoor ones, but this allows you to create a Wi-Fi link between two buildings, or two houses, if you want to do it that way. So we're going to kind of set these up in my front room here on two different stands to simulate a bit of a distance, so I can get them configured and show you all the interface and the setup features for it. And then we're going to install this back at my kids' house. So we're going to have one on the house, one on the shed, and we're going to create a link between them, because over the years, the cables I've had, I didn't actually install. I didn't outdoor. I was cutting costs, see, so I didn't install outdoor Ethernet cable, so it was rated for weather and all conditions, and it's kind of buried it in the ground in a tube that I sealed both ends off, so that's kind of protected there, but it won't protect against cold. But I've noticed the cabling has started tearing along the cable, all along the wall. So it goes up the wall, round the door, round the other part of the house, then back, then under the ground. So it is degrading. So this is a backup solution for him. So we'll install that and we'll go through the installation. It's quite easy. These boxes are very much made to be connected either on the wall directly with, or you can use the ring cable, the Jubilee cable, and you can fit it around a pipe if you want to. So an outdoor pipe. And perfect at the back of the house, they've got an actually drain pipe that comes down, so that fit perfectly there, and it's actually facing the shed, which is quite nice. And I can mount this on the shed quite nice, easy. You can screw it on the shed because obviously the shed's made of wood. Screw it on, and we can then literally line these up and create that connection. And then we can then disconnect the cables going to the shed and just literally rely on this connection to see how good it is as well. These are cheap boxes. These were sent to me from a Amazon dealer and said, like, why didn't you test these out? I said, well, send it to me for free, and I'll do it. And they did. So unbranded. I can't remember brand there. It's a weird brand anyway. So and they're for making and connecting A to B. So it's like putting a cable in there, but it's over Wi-Fi. So we're going to be interested to see how strong this is. I don't think it's a super fast one. It's an outdoor CPE it's called. And I don't think it might be gigabit speeds, but it might be half a gigabit anyway. So it's kind of, if this works well, then I may look at buying something a bit more expensive that's a bit more faster, because especially if the cable is going to be, well, they're still working now, fingers crossed, but it won't work for much longer. So I need to kind of change that out for him. So we'll put this in place as temporary, see how it goes, and road test it. But these are only I think they're about £70 or less. So they're a cheap solution, and you get two of them. The only thing I don't like is they're foreign. So they come with the foreign plugs. I need to work out some UK plugs to plug onto this. So these are the Poe injectors. So you've got Poe one side, LAN the other side. So it will provide power to these boxes, which is great, because we need to run a cable. I'll be running power to this, especially outdoors. These are waterproof. They've got Poe connected at the bottom there, and another connector as well. And they've got a channel number 2 as well. So it's going to be quite cool to play around with and configure and see how they work. You can plug it with a normal adaptive power adapter if you wanted to, but PoE is nice. It's one cable to the box and provides data and power at the same time. So much easier doing that. So once I get the adapters this end, we'll be installing these, testing it. I'll make a video. And then after about a month for him playing on it, because him and his girlfriend hangs down there, he better then kind of tell us a true performance. You know, has it worked well? Do you get timeouts? Does it get laggy on gaming or anything on like YouTube streaming? Let us know, and he'll be able to get us what I like doing, these true live tests. Don't like getting a product and reviewing it and saying, "Oh, it's fantastic," or "It's a pile of shit." I want to test it to make sure it works or not. You know, and I'll tell you if it's a pile of shit or to know it's something definitely worth investing. But so far, the build looks quite nice. I've done a video, so check my video out on that one, and we'll do a second one of temporarily set these up so you can see what the interface looks like. Getting them working here first. That's always a good thing. Let's test it in-house, make sure it all connects fine, and take outdoors. But I also got another Wi-Fi box which goes further kilometers than this one. Because my daughter said to me once, "Dad, can we install an outside Wi-Fi box so when I come over the bridge from school, I can connect to our home network until I get home?" Oh my God. Lucky enough they live near the bottom of the bridge. So I kind of could do that. So I got to the top of the bridge. I got like a 5-minute walk before I get to the house. I could do that. So I might try that. I'll wait till the summer's bad so I can climb up the wall and install it on the top of the house that way. So the higher, the better. And it could probably kind of work. We'll give it a go and we'll do a video on that as well. So I'm game for it. So we'll see how this works out. Whether the pricing is cheap good, is cheap shit. We'll find out. It's like my saying. My saying's always saying, you pay for what you get, and that seriously is it. You buy cheap, you're gonna get shit. You buy something really expensive, you're gonna get something decent. You know, look at Apple. All Apple devices are really good. I've not had any problems with Apple devices. You pay for the nose for it, but you're getting some decent stuff. You may have different opinions on that, but that's my opinion anyway. So we'll kind of see if this is the real deal. Does it work? Cheap. Let's test it out and try it anyway. Really cool. Yeah, just a bit overview, guys. So if you are installing new Wi-Fi hotspots, cable it, put a cable in the bottom of it, and install it. Wi-Fi, turn your Wi-Fi off on your router if you've got more than one device in your house, and use your normal new network for that one. The mesh ones, I've got the mesh ones here. I haven't had the opportunity to put it in a house yet to test it. I can't keep it into my kids' house because I've been installing too much Wi-Fi there. They got a decent setup, so I need to kind of find a house that has no Wi-Fi and do it. And I thought I had one the other day, and that person let me down. So we'll kind of find out somebody else that will test it for us. But I've got 3 of them. No, I've got 2 of them. I've got a 2-pack. So I've got 2 of those, and we'll see if the TP-Link wireless mesh works, and we'll kind of see if it's laggy or not. Be interesting to see actually, because that's another big thing that TP-Link and Linksys have been rating on. I'll try a new wireless mesh. It's a wireless mesh everything. It's going to be the new buzzword for them. Wire mesh is just great. It works great, but I'm kind of skeptic on that one. But we'll see anyway. Now, some questions I wanted to cover. Yeah, I've covered most of them actually on here. There's lots of common ones as well, like the power lines. So there's another power line plugs. So you're using power line plugs. They come with Wi-Fi at the other end. So there's another way of putting Wi-Fi in a room, using the power line as your cable. Plug another one in, and then Wi-Fi. And someone's saying, "But I see 2 networks. I see my router network, and I see the new one that comes with that." All you got to do is take any ISP will give you like a label with your Wi-Fi on it to tell you what the SSID and passcode is. Now, when you go into the setup on your power line box, type the same SSID in. Make sure if it's up and down characters, make sure it's identical. Same with the password, and save it. Then you got the same network, and then we should hopefully see one network, and then your phone will swap between them, because the phone will see there's 2 different networks on the same SSID, and that works better. That way, when you go from one room to the other, it'll just automatically swap over. It thinks it's part of the same network, and it thinks it's going from one switch to another. So that's the way to do it. Make sure it's identical. Don't create a new password and new SSID, because then you'll have to set up a new profile in all your devices to make sure it connects to it. So if you've got say you get 4 devices and you're using it in your bedroom, then you need to make sure you do duplicate your Wi-Fi from your router, password and SSID identically. And that way you don't have to sit there and go through each device, re-adding it back in again. can be annoying. The quicker way is just make sure it's identical. So yeah, I have emphasized a bit on that one because that's a common question people do ask. Someone said about difference between a Wi-Fi cable or non-cable where it amplifies the signal. Cable all the way. I wouldn't use one that's trying to amplify a weak signal to make it better, because the weak signal is already weak. It will drop in and out all the time, and you kind of want to make sure what you're connecting to is stable to amplify it. And sometimes you can't put that box in the room where you need it to be to take a decent strong signal to boost it further. 9 times I've done it before in houses, and I think we should have run a cable. Should have done that. So now if anybody asks me to install, cable it all the way. Don't cheapskate it. Cable all the routers, then you'll know your signals around your house is lovely and strong, and decent. And once you installed it and you've done it correctly, you'll never need to go back again and revisit it. And a lot of common questions as well. People saying, "Oh, it's been running for a couple of years now, but it stopped working." Now, people set up, they run it, but they never check for updates for the firmware because they are constantly changing. So every time hardware comes out and the vendor goes, there's been bug issues before, or let's say something's changed, it needs to make the changes, it will send out a new firmware, but it won't automatically install for you. You've got to install that manually yourself. Some new ones will automatically download the updates as long as you switch that option on. Others will just literally sit there waiting for you to do that yourself manually. So you need to go and do that. Like, for instance, my Linksys ones that I use, they do install the firmware, but it notifies you there's one waiting, but it doesn't install it. There's no option to say install automatically. You have to go manually do it. So if you don't install the updates and the firmware updates for it, ain't going to work. It will drop at some point. It will cause issues. So like iPhones, and keep them updated, because it's not just a software update. It's also, it may do firmware updates in the background that improves your device. Every time there's an update come out for my PC, my Mac, or my phone, I literally install it. Job done. I've not had any issues with my phones or my PCs in the past, because I keep updates going forward all the time, and I keep applying them. So that's my own true opinion, because that's what's worked for me at the end of the day. And 9 times out, when you buy something from a manufacturer, when it gets made, it may be sitting in shipping or in a store somewhere to be ready to be brought for 6 months. That's kind of already out of date, because the firmware that was loaded onto this when it was made is probably already out of date. So what I tend to do is when I buy these, I first of all check the firmware, see if there's a new version, apply it, then install it. Otherwise, you're implying an old firmware that may have lots of bug issues, and you're going to see those bug issues, and you're going to be saying, this thing don't work. So check to make sure before you install something, you've installed the firmware and you've updated it and it works. If you install the update to it and it doesn't work for some reason, you can take it back to manufacturer, back to shop and say it don't work, replace it, kind of thing. But I've always updated firmware, never had any issues with applying them to devices. That always worked well, and I keep it going. So I would say every 3 months, go back to your router setup or your gear, check for the firmwares for them, and apply them. That way, keeps things going forward nicely, and you should have no internet or wireless issues going forward. So yeah, so hopefully this has helped you out quite a bit, guys. I hope this I'm not going to more comments on. So I hope this has helped you out. If you've got any questions on any of these subjects, happy to re-talk about it, happy to redo another video on it. So please comment below for me with all your questions on Wi-Fi or issues you may have. Hopefully this has may sorted most of them out. And also remember, same with a PC. If something happens and it's not working for some reason, reboot it first. Do this first thing I do: power it off, power it on. If it kicks back into life, great. Because don't forget, these got like little mini PCs inside that routes traffic all day long, and they got a little bit of memory as well. Sometimes they might get a bit full and freeze. Your router, your broadband router is exactly the same. Every so often, I will reset my router. I probably do it about every couple of months, and I just turn it off, turn it back on again, and it keeps it going. I have not had any issues of my connection dropping. So definitely worth trying that out. Same with the hardware. Every now and again, reboot them. Some devices will, I think my Linksys ones do have, you can put a timer in it, say at midnight, I want you to reboot yourself, and it clears everything down. It's a shame that broadband manufacturers don't do that to their routers, because that way it's so much easier. You know, especially if they do an upgrade in the telephone exchange, it normally kicks your router off. Then you come back and in the morning, I've got no internet. What's going on here? You know, turn it off, turn it back on. When friends phone up and say, I've got no internet, I say, turn it off, turn it back on again. Is it working now? 9 times they come back and say, yeah, it's working. You know, so it's always the best thing. Reboot first, okay? Then if it still doesn't work, check for firmware upgrades, apply those, and see if it kicks back into life. If you bought something new for the very first time, stick the new update on it, apply it, install it, then set it up. You'll be good to go. That's my year's experience in IT, you know, and it still holds to this day. So thanks for watching, guys. Hope you enjoyed that anyway. So I will have more. I'll be doing this every single week. So get your questions ready. You know, this is the second one I've done so far. So next week we're back again on the Friday at 8 p.m. doing another live stream. And I'm trying to theme it as well. So I'm theming around a lot of common questions as well, And as I progress on, I'll have little videos to show you and things like that. And hopefully we'll make it better. And we get guests on as well, make it a bit more bigger. But in the meantime, I've got 2 new videos I created this week. So I'll be editing them over the weekend and get them out during the week for you. So enjoy those coming out very soon to you. So thanks for watching, guys, and staying tuning in. And I will see you next week, Friday, 8 p.m.
Thank you for listening to this episode of Jack's Tech Talks.
For more episodes, you can find us on Apple Podcast, Google, and Spotify.
Don't forget to subscribe to stay fully up to date.
Also, check out our new website,
www.jacksgear.co.uk.
for more reviews and videos.